Historia stalking is a community studying units of Bovengan and Notre Dame. Whose friends and interact with the press just to active guys.
Coda, hey! You're all right. I'm gonna get you out of there.
Whimper, whimper, whimper. Hai para cene ci con la buta ta bla bla caro. Io ti nani ka batta ye si ta la stage nota.
Oh!
Target sa kanal sa ti wala na metsa.
Ah. What's up with Sesabas? Koko niyo sa nagkatunda. I hear the ocean, Coda. We must be close.
Hey, look at that. Bark, bark.